Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start talking about that wage bracket method. Some things that you're going to want to have handy when you're doing these problems. So I would suggest maybe you click on them now so that they're up on your screen and you can use them to kind of follow along. One is this publication 15T, which looks like this. So you can open this up. Let me make this a little bit smaller. This publication 15T contains the tables that we're going to use, and it contains some worksheets that we're going to use to help with our calculations. This is kind of a duplicate of one of the worksheets that we're gonna work with today. These are the different steps that we need to take. It also contains schedules when we're using the percentage method. So you can see there's like, I'm not going to worry about number 6 or number 7. Well, there are some alternative methods for figuring withholding. The ones that we're going to use today are the wage bracket method tables for manual payroll systems, forms W-4 from 2020 or later. Remember, we talked about the fact that that W-4 form changed. We instituted this new W-4 form starting in 2020. A couple of these factors changed with that updated W-4. And so because we do still have W-4 forms that employees have filled out from before that time, we also still have the alternative calculations that we're going to go through at the end of this chapter to give you a little bit of review of how we used to do it, how we still do it if the employee still has an old W-4 form. But the ones we're really mainly going to focus on today, wage bracket method tables for 2020 or later, and then if we've got time, I thought I'd have time in the last class, I didn't have time, the percentage method tables for 2020 or later. You'll see that there is also a wage bracket method tables for 2019 or earlier and percentage method tables for 2019 or earlier. So those tables are a little bit different to take into account the different factors that are required in order to complete them. So that's one of the documents that you're going to want to have up. Also, I would suggest that you click on, is it down here? Open up a W-4 form as well. So the 2024 W-4 form. This is helpful, as I had mentioned before, it's helpful as well when you're doing your homework to maybe have one of these handy, because as you'll see when we're going through the worksheet, which this is the worksheet, when we're going through the worksheet, it refers to lines on the W-4, but it'll just say, take the number from step 4 or part B and enter it in here. So it's handy to have this open so that you can remember what exactly step 4, part B is. Okay? So let's, hold on just a second here. Okay, so we've got those two things up. And as a reminder, so at a minimum, we're going to need these 4 pieces of information. And these are actually in the order of when you're going to need them in the process. So the first thing you need is those taxable wages. Again, taxable wages would be those gross wages adjusted by any pre-tax fringe benefits or any taxable fringe benefits. So we would add any taxable fringe benefits, we'd subtract any pre-tax fringe benefits that the employee is paid to arrive at those taxable wages. Next thing we're going to need is the frequency of pay. So are we paid on a biweekly basis? Are we paid on a monthly basis? How frequently are we paid? These next 2 items come directly from the W-4 form. Our filing status, so that box up at the top here, which one of those boxes was checked? And then, was that checkbox checked down here in step 2? So that's just a yes or no question. Is it checked? Is it not checked? Okay, that information I'm going to show you on the tables here where we use that information. So if you click and go to, this is the worksheet that I have listed up here. We are going to use that, but first I'm going to give you a little tour of the tables. These are the wage bracket tables that we're going to use. So that's on page 12 of this publication. And these are also in your book. I think there are excerpts in the chapter, but the entire thing may be at the back of the book in an appendix. But I just think it's easier just to kind of click over and actually look at the real publication. From I don't know if you've used any of them. Sometimes if you click on it in the book when you're reading it, first off it puts it sideways. And then it's really tiny, and then you're scrolling all over the place. There's enough scrolling that has to be done when we're just using it this way, but I find it kind of difficult to use the textbook. So these tables, you see, they're pretty long. There's lots and lots of pages of numbers. And they go all the way down to here. So there are actually several tables included here. Each pay frequency has its own tables. So you see up at the top here, we've got a weekly payroll period. It's kind of too bad they don't make this print bigger so that it's more obvious, because this is probably one of the most common errors that students make, is they choose the wrong pay frequency, or they choose the wrong table, or they just choose the first table that they see, not realizing that, oh, it's a biweekly pay period, but I've chosen the weekly pay table. So the first thing you have to do, that's why I say this is in order, is find the correct frequency of pay. So what we're looking at here is a weekly payroll period table. There are several pages to this. Goes down to, 3 pages. Because what we have here is an income. Over here on the left-hand side is an income range. So each row has an income range. So you see the very first one here, $775 to $785. So there's a $10 range there. And it says the wage is at least this amount, but less than this amount. Now this amount, this adjusted wage, is something that we're going to calculate over here on the worksheet. So we're going to go through the steps to calculate what that adjusted wage is. Once we have that adjusted wage, we then go to the table to find the correct row that we need to, in order to extract the withholding amount. So it says at least $775, but less than $785. But if you notice, the next line is also $785 and then to $795. So we've got $785 on this line, and we've got $785 on this line. You're always going to use the second line, because the words are at least this amount, but less than this amount. So if it was exactly $785, $785 is not less than $785, but it is at least $785. But instead of having to think that through every single time, just remember that it's the second row. So so if it was exactly $785, we would use the second row. So you'll see over here, we've got 6 columns. The 6 columns represent the filing statuses. So again, this is the next piece of information that we need, the filing status. Married filing jointly is these first 2 columns. Head of household, married filing jointly, this includes qualifying widow or widower or surviving spouse, however they've termed it in your textbook. So that surviving spouse would fall under this category as well, married filing jointly. Head of household, these 2 columns. Single or married filing separately, these last 2 columns. Now you see that each filing status has 2 columns. One column, the first column that's not highlighted, is for those W-4s where the checkbox was not checked. So if the answer is no, you're going to use the left column for the correct filing status. If the checkbox was checked, you're going to use the right-hand row or the highlighted row. So you can see how these 4 factors play into finding the correct number on the table. So let's play around for a second, especially if you've got yours open. Let's say we've got somebody who is, we've got $1,200 of taxable wages. They are paid weekly. They are single, and they do not have the checkbox checked. See if you can look up and find the correct withholding from the table. And you just shout it out when you know it. 107. That's right. So, first thing we do is look at the taxable wages, get the right, make this a little bit bigger. The correct range, so 1,200 is between 1195 and 1205. So this does not highlight very well, by the way. All right, so there's our row. Our answer is somewhere here on the row. Next thing we need to do is find the, we already have the frequency of pay. We're on the right table. Filing status is single, so it's going to be one of these two rows, or columns, sorry. One of these two columns. And the checkbox is not checked, so it's going to be the left-hand side. So otherwise, they call it standard withholding. So it's going to be here, 107. Let's do another one. Let's say we've got somebody, taxable wages are $16.27. They're paid bi-weekly. Filing status is head of household. And the checkbox is checked. Now we start with the weekly tables, those first 3 pages, but if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that we come to the bi-weekly tables. And again, you can just shout it out if you have it. 138. Let's take a look here. All right, so biweekly, 1627. All right, 1627 is at least 1615, but less than 1635. All right, so head of household, one of these two columns. Checkbox is checked, so we're going to use the highlighted column here. Checkbox withholding, 138. Sorry, I can get that. There you go, 138. All right, why don't you guys give me some information? What's the taxable wages? Just give me a number. Throw something out. Evelyn, give me a number. What? You can't think of a number between 0 and infinity? A number. Yeah. 100. Okay. All right. So, okay, 100,000. I guess it does have a limit. I'm going to say between 0 and $5,000. I'm sorry? 4,000. Okay. All right, so frequency of pay. Somebody throw something out, or I will call on you. 4, 3. What's that? Semi-monthly. Good. All right, filing status. Chelsea, give me a filing status. Single. Checkbox yes or no. This one's easy, 50-50. Yes, okay. All right, So, semi-monthly, $4,000. See if you can find it. $743. That was fast. All right, so we've got to scroll down to get to our semi-monthly. And then we have to find $4,000. Oh, it is there. Okay. So here is semi-monthly, right there. 4,000 is between $39.85 and $4,020. All right, so we've got a single individual. It's going to be the last two columns. Checkbox is checked, so it's going to be the checkbox withholding, $743. Well done. Let's do another one. Everybody able to look that up and see it on the table where it comes from? Okay. Let's do another one. Give me a higher income level, something higher. Again, per pay period. So 100,000, we're not talking like what Jeff Bezos level, although that's probably way higher than that. Julia, give me a number. 10,000. I love it. How often are we paid $10,000? What? Monthly. All right. Filing status? What's that? Head of household. And checkbox yes or no? No. Okay. Okay, look it up. It's not there. Let's look at the monthly payroll period. Oh, and then we go to daily. We end at 8,400. We don't have 10,000. So obviously, not everybody's salaries will fit on the table. The table has an end point, which means we have to use the percentage method, which we'll talk about. But I just wanted to illustrate that there are limits to the table. So we can't use it in every instance, right? We could use it in a lot of instances, but we can't use it in every instance. And in your homework, be careful because it may tell you use this method, or it may want you to figure out which is the method that you have to use. Okay? So if it does not fit on the table, you have to use the other method, the percentage method. All right, so how do we get to this number? I said that there are some steps that we have to take in order to get there. We're going to use a worksheet to get to those steps. And that worksheet is going to involve using the W-4 as well. So this is where you need that W-4 kind of handy. So let's fill out a W-4. We'll use this, but we won't use 10,000. We'll use something that actually falls in the range. We'll say 5,000. But we use the same. So we've got an individual. This is their W-4. They clicked head of household, which means they probably have a dependent, right? If they're head of household, then they have some sort of dependent. They may or may not qualify for the child tax credit or either of these credits, but we'll assume that they do qualify for that. So no checkbox. So they just have this one job. And let's say they have, so again, this is the minimum information we need, but we may have other information that also factors in. So they've got one child under 17, and they've got one child over 17. So Multiply the number of qualifying children by under 17 by 2,000. This would have been filled out, and then they've got this filled out as well. So line 3 ends up being 2,500. All right, let's just say they've also got some other income. Maybe they got some interest income, or they've got a rental property or something. They've got some other income coming in, and instead of making estimated payments or paying that tax separately, they want to just go ahead and have it adjusted for their, they want to have their withholding adjusted for that additional income. So we've got some other income. Let's say they've got $5,000 of other income. In this example, we will say that there aren't any, they're not going to itemize their deductions, so they don't have anything listed on 4B. Let me put that 5,000 on there. But they owed some money last year, so they want to make sure that they're covered, that they've had enough withheld this year. So they're going to throw in some extra withholding as well. We'll just say they want an extra $100 every pay period withheld. So this is what that W-4 would look like. I'm going to use the information from this W-4, and we're going to fill out the worksheet that is in that Pub 15T. Now this is on page 12. Each of those different methods that I talked about, so the percentage method has its own worksheet. The wage bracket method for prior to 2020 or 2019 and earlier has its own worksheet. The percentage method for prior to 2020 has its own worksheet. So each of those methods have their own worksheet. So this worksheet is specific to this method. All right. So this is where we're gonna start with this. All right. So step 1. And you can see actually this sort of follows along. It does sort of follow along with the format of the W-4, because like the step 1 pertains to some information. Well, actually it doesn't pertain to information on the W-4. Well, I guess it kind of does. No, I'm going to take that back. Never mind, because they talk about step 4 up here. I guess the only thing that really applies is step 3 and step 4. This pertains to step 3 on the W-4. This pertains to step 4 on the W-4, but there's some information up here that also pertains to step 4 on the W-4. All right, so let's go through these one by one. 1A, enter the employee's total taxable wages for this payroll period. That's going to be our $5,000. Now remember, when we calculated this, we added any taxable fringe benefits to it. We subtracted any pre-tax benefits that they're paying for as well to arrive at this number. So we did all of that first. Okay, so step 1A, this is the 5,000. B, enter the number of pay periods that you have per year. And they give you this handy little table if you can't seem to remember. But this is monthly, so we know that that's 12 pay periods a year. 1C, enter the amount from step 4A of the employee's W-4. All right, so this is where you want to go back over to the W-4 and look at the 4A. We have $5,000 entered. This is other income. Okay, so we're going to enter that in. What we're doing is it's as though they're earning that extra income, and we're going to spread it over the course of the year for each pay period. All right. 1D, divide the amount on line 1C by the number of pay periods. So this amount, 5,000, divided by the number of pay periods. So 416.67. (1E), add lines 1A and 1D. this becomes our taxable wages. This is what we're doing. We're adjusting those taxable wages by any additional income we want to add to it. But we would also subtract it for any of those additional deductions that we want to take into account, which is this next part here. Okay, so 1E. 1F, enter the amount from step 4B of the employee's W-4. Well, we have nothing in 4B, so we don't have to enter anything, or we'll just put it 0. 1G, divide the amount on line 1F, which is 0, by the number of pay periods. That's going to be 0 as well. 1H, subtract line 1G from line 1E. Well, we don't have to subtract anything, so 54, 16, 67. This is the adjusted wage amount. There's our number. There's our number that we're then going to apply to the table that we just looked at. But we've got to apply it to the correct table based on our pay frequency, right? And based on our filing status and whether that checkbox is checked. So now we're going to scroll down, monthly pay. Got to scroll down a ways. So 50, all right, so we've got 54, 16, 67, which is between 53.90 and 54.60, right? Here we go. This line here. Head of household, which is the middle two. No checkbox, so it's going to be the one on the left. So everybody get 404? Look good? Okay. So again, once you find it on the table, you're going to scroll back up to that worksheet. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to enter it on 2A. So 504, is that what we got? Was that it? 504? I can't even remember. Somebody tell me. You're not going to tell me? Nobody else remembers either? What did we come up with? Monthly 404. See? All right, come on. There we go. 404. Now, you can see on here it says figure the tentative withholding amount. It's tentative. We may have to make some adjustments to it. Remember, we've got to take into account those child tax credits and the additional withholding that they requested. So that's what our steps 3 and 4 are for. All right, step 3A, enter the amount from step 3 of the employee's W-4. Well, step 3 is $2,500. $3B, divide the amount on line 3A by the number of pay periods up here. All right, well, divided by 12. What we're doing is they're entitled to that tax credit, and what they're taking it at the point of that they're getting paid. So they're applying that to each paycheck, which means when they fill out their tax return in April, they're going to claim that tax credit, but they've already received it. So it's going to be part of the reconciliation that they do on that, but they've already received the tax benefit of it in the form of reduced withholding. Okay, so 2,500 divided by 12, so 208.33. So line 3C, we're going to subtract line 3B from line 2A. So we'll take 404 minus 208.33. $195.67. So there's our 3C. Then we've got step 4. We're going to enter the additional amount to withhold from step 4C of the W-4. So 4C, they wanted an additional $100 withheld, right? So we're going to enter that in. Add lines 3C and 4A. So 195.67 plus 100. They're going to have $295.67 withheld from their paycheck. Given all of this information, $5,000 taxable wages, paid monthly, head of household, they didn't check the checkbox, they have one child under 17, one child over 17, they've got other income that they entered on the W-4 of $5,000. Again, all of these are going to come from the W-4 as well, and they have the extra withholding of $100. Given all of that information, $295.67. All right, let's see, 12, 10, let's see where we are here. For some reason that went away. All right, let's do one more together. Or actually, let's not do it together. Let me give you some, I'm going to give you some factors and you guys do it. Okay? All right. So let's have somebody, got one down here, so 2,200. They're head of household. Bi-weekly. And yes. And we'll say they've got so on the W-4, they also put extra income of $2,500, and they've got 2 dependents over 17. No additional withholding. And they're not taking the additional, there's no additional deductions. Okay, so it would look like, so head of household, checkbox is checked this time. Not going to be anything there, but they have 2 other dependents. So whoops. Come on. that's not coming. I can't delete it for some reason. There we go. There we go. All right.
Again, the checkbox means not a second W-4. It's all on the same.
It means they only have one job.
Oh.
There's not a second. Yep. All right. So take until, I don't know, we'll say 20 after 7 minutes. See if you can come up with that answer.